Hello and welcome to another session in mathematics lesson. In this lesson we'll be looking at quadratic equation, but before that let us look at the previous lesson. Welcome back. In this lesson today we'll cover areas like quadratic equation, the introductory part of quadratic equation, and then we'll solve quadratic equation using factorization method. Okay, quadratic equations. Quadratic equation is an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, where c is a constant. Okay, and then there's one thing you need to understand about quadratic equation. When we have the product of two numbers being equal to 0, it means that one of the numbers, or possibly both of them, are 0. For instance, if we have 0 times 0, the product is 0. If we have 1 times 0, the product is 0. If we have 0 times 5, the product also is 0. So we'll agree that when the product of two numbers is equal to 0, that it's either both of the numbers are 0 or one of them it's 0. Okay, so let's now solve quadratic equation problems. Assuming we are given a problem x minus 2 into x plus 7 to be equal to 0. All we are asked to do is to find the value of x at which this equation is equal to 0. We'll find the value of x at which this equation is equal to 0. Okay, now in the first bracket, if we have x to be equal to 2, you agree with me that this equation will be 0. Let's check it. Here we have 2 minus 2. If x is 2, we have 2 minus 2 into 2 plus 7. Okay, let's see if it is 0. 2 minus 2 will give us what? 0. And 2 plus 7 will give us 9. 0 times 9 is equal to 0. Okay, so we've gotten one of the values of x. Then you will still agree with me that if x is minus 7, this equation will also be what? 0. Let's check it. For the first bracket, we have minus 7 minus 2 into minus 7 plus 7. Okay, minus 7 minus 2 will give us minus 9 into minus 7 plus 7 will give us 0. Minus 9 times 0 will give us 0. So the two values of x at which this equation is equal to 0 are 2 and minus 7. Okay, so quadratic equation always has what? Two values of the variable, and in the equation we just solved, we have its values to be 2 and what? Minus 7. So let's quickly go to quadratic equation by factorization method. How we can solve quadratic equation problems using factorization methods. Apart from factorization method of quadratic equation, there are other methods of solving quadratic equation, including completing the square method. We have the formula method. We have the graphical method, and then we have factorization method. Okay, so let us start with the factorization method of quadratic equation. We are given 4x squared, we are given 4y squared plus 5y minus 21 equal to 0. Okay, and we are asked to solve it using factorization method. Okay, in factorization method, the first thing we do is to find what we call the sum of roots, and the sum of root of every quadratic equation is the middle term. So in this we have our sum of roots to be what? 5y, and then we have secondly the product of roots, and the product of roots is the first term times the last term. Okay, that is 4y squared times minus 21. Okay, and then 4 times 21 will give us minus 84y squared. Okay, now we found the product of this equation, product of root of this equation, the first term times the last term. Okay, then after this we then find the product of the factors of the product of roots, the numbers that can divide 84 without a remainder. We have numbers like 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 6, we have 14, we have 7, we also have 12. Okay, and so on. Let's stop here. Now when you find the factors of the product of roots, out of the factors you pick 2 numbers such that when you add them it gives you the sum of roots, and then when you multiply them you get the product of roots. When you add you get the sum of roots, and then when you multiply you get the product of roots. And you will agree with me that 7 times 12 is 84. Is that correct? And 12 minus 7 will give us what? 5. So we have 12y and minus 7y, and 12y times minus 7y will give us minus 84y squared, and then 12y minus 7y will give us 5y. Now what we do is to replace the sum of roots with these 2 factors here. So what we now have is 4y squared, then plus the first one 12y, then minus 7y. We add the last term here, which is minus 21, equal to 0. Then we'll pair them. In the first bracket, what is common? 4y is common, and then we are left with y here, and then we have 3, such that 4y times y will give us 4y squared, and 4y times 3 will give us 12y. Then in the second bracket, what is common? Minus 7 is common. Then here we'll be left with y plus 3, such that minus 7 times y will give us minus 7y, minus 7 times 3 will give us minus 21, and we have this to be equal to 0. Now the 2 brackets must be equal. If they are not equal, then you are wrong. Then since they are equal, you pick one of the brackets, you have y plus 3, and then you pick these 2 terms and add them in the bracket, so you have 4y minus 7. And if you expand these 2 brackets, you still get this original equation, and this is equal to 0. So y plus 3 is equal to 0, or 4y minus 7 is equal to 0. Y is equal to minus 3. When 3 crosses the equality sign, it becomes a negative 3, or 4y is equal to 7. When the minus 7 crosses over, it becomes a positive 7. Let's go over to the next page. We have y to be equal to minus 3, or y equals 7 over 4. So the 2 values of y in the given equation, 4y squared plus 5y minus 21, are minus 3 and 7 over 4. Okay, one more example. Factorize h squared minus 5h plus 54 equal to 0. Factorize this. Okay, the first step is to obtain the product of root and sum of root, and the sum of root I told us is the middle term, that is minus 15h, and the product of root is the first term times the last term, which is 54 times h squared. That will give us 54 h squared. Then we'll find the factors of 54. factors of 54, which includes 2, 3, 6, 9, and so on. You agree with me that minus 6 minus 9 will give us minus 15, right? And minus 6 times minus 9 will give us 54. So we are looking at minus 6h and minus 9h. Minus 6h times minus 9h will give us a positive 54h squared, since minus times minus is equal to plus. Okay, then minus 6h minus 9h will give us minus 15h. We replace the sum of roots with these factors. So we have h squared minus 6h minus 9h plus 54 equal to 0. We pay it, and then we have the common terms. What's common in the first bracket? H is common. We have h minus 6. What is common in the second bracket? Minus 9 is common. Then we have h minus 6 equal to 0, and the brackets again are equal. So we have h minus 6, which is one of the brackets, and then we have h minus 9 to be equal to 0. Now h minus 6 is equal to 0, or h minus 9 is equal to 0. So h is equal to 6, or h is equal to 9. So the two values of h are 6 and 9. Okay, having studied quadratic equation and the factorization method of quadratic equation, please provide the answers to the following question on the screen. Welcome back. So far we've been able to cover the introductory part of quadratic equation and the first method of solving quadratic equation, which is the factorization method. We'll stop here for today. Do well to use the lesson notes on the platform for better information on the topic we've just studied, and feel free to drop your questions or comments on the comment section. Okay, in our next class we'll go over to solving quadratic equation using completing the square method. Till then, stay safe and bye.